All right, let's bring our band in.
All right.
Here comes Clozure. 1, 2, and I think that's everybody we've got right now. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Zach, you're. We can't hear you, Zach.
Oh.
Zach, you're muted. Try it one more time.
I think he's unmuted now. Let's see. He may need to jump out and then jump back in. A lot of times,
Yeah.
the audio will do some weird stuff.
Yeah, it's freezing too.
It is a
Actually, I'm going to
be your friend,
and then have him completely come back. Let's see. Anyway, we can. Did we lose another one? Did we lose Mike? No, all right, we did. Oh, we're dropping like flies here, people.
Okay.
I'm here, guys. Do not worry. I'm here.
Right.
All right.
We'll see.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Boom.
So, lady and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Glad to have you. So, we're basically saying that this is kind of like a meet the band type thing. You haven't been on the show before. I know I've seen you guys live once, but the lineup was different the time I saw you guys. So briefly, give us a rundown of who Clozure is.
I'm going to let one of the mics take over that one right now.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we got you, bud.
Cool. So, we've absolutely gotten to see a couple of you guys at a live show. It's a fantastic time. But we absolutely are a completely different group now. We've got myself and Matt and the other Mike as kind of the bass, and we decided to kind of go in a different direction. We didn't really hold anything back when it came for us looking for a new front person, and Nikolai just kind of fell in our lap, and we were blown away with her right off the bat. So, I mean, it really wasn't a hard choice for us. Zach joined during that same timeline as well. Zach was in a previous band that opened for us while we went out on tour last year. I think that was when we actually went to the Cannery. But at a different show, Zach opened for us, and we were just blown away by his live stuff. I mean, the guy is just an animal on stage, just super fun. Nikolai's resume speaks for itself. So now we're just kind of putting this together and just trying to see where it goes. But we're excited so far.
So, Nikolai, tell us your story where you got to Clozure.
To be honest with you, prior to like 2 or 3 years ago, I never took like singing seriously. And with my last band, we had a lot of accomplishments. I mean, I got to do Louder Than Life. I did Rockville twice. I was direct support and opener for Red Jumpsuit Apparatus, The Used, Story of the Year, Less Than Jake. So if you would have asked me 3 years ago, or like during those 3 years last year, I would have thought that everything was perfectly fine and dandy. But I had a very sudden breakup with the band, and there was a lot of things going on. And, music to me is very like transcendental, where whatever I'm going through quite literally will mirror what I'm writing or what I'm inspired in order to like make my visionary like movements with music videos and whatnot. And when the band broke up, ironically, their manager, Nolan with MK Management, kind of started messaging me on Instagram. And at that time, I was just done. It sounds really strange, but music to me was always like a dream. And to be in my first band and do so well, when it ended so bad, it almost kind of made me not want to do music anymore. And with the help of Nolan and honestly the help of like Mike, our drummer, I was talking to them a lot back to back. And it was like 2 or 3 conversations over the phone. I thought that these guys, am I allowed to cuss in this radio station or no?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I thought that these guys were absolutely full of shit because they were just too nice. Like, I know this sounds so strange, but the position that I was in prior, I was used to bandmates that are neck and neck, and I was used to passive aggressiveness and, a lot of like artist personalities where they don't want to say it, but they say it, and just constant passive aggressiveness. So meeting them like 2 or 3 times on like Zoom calls, I was like, holy shit, are these guys even real? And I flew out to Alabama. And within the first practice, it was literally me and Cordell, the guitarist, and Matt, the other guitarist. Within one practice, you know, we wrote The Devil Effect just like that. And it was an inspiration from like all the breakups and the heartaches that I was going through within that time. And I think I really only had like 2 or 3 months, you know, of like healing time from the last breakup. So then when I met Clozure, it was in a weird way between the name being Clozure, but then also having a bunch of like veteran bandmates that just were just strong, kind of minded and very like supportive bandmates. It was everything that I needed. And after one practice, I talked to them like 2 or 3 times and like the decision was like final. And I mean, within months of like me meeting the band, we found Zach like a month later. And the band already loved Zach. And ironically, Zach already saw me perform once at Louder Than Life. So it was almost as if all of our accomplishments that we accumulated separately brought us together for like that one final and all. I mean, this is going to sound cheesy when I say this, but it kind of all gave us closure, so to speak. And then that's kind of how we found each other. And it's weird. And I don't like to talk about like emotional aspects, but it was a very emotional journey as for myself, because they never had a female front and I'm clearly very feminine and very feminine presenting. So, you know, seeing how sweet and kind they were to me and how the manager was very persistent towards me and how Mike was extremely like loving towards me and like told me like every step of the way, like, hey, we're not going to do what like happened to you again. Like, we really want this music, because we couldn't imagine ourselves anything but doing music. I was like, finally a vision. You know, the music industry, it's very weird. It's very shady sometimes. So to be able to find like your own army or your own family, which I literally put in the lyrics for our first single, for the world to actually hear me with Clozure, I meant it. Like, it literally felt like I was welcomed home.
Awesome. So Mike and Mike, tell me what, from where you guys started at and to where this is, where are you headed for 2024?
So I'll let Mike talk for the first part because he's on Shiprock, so I don't want to lose him in case he gets some bad.
Definitely don't want him to hit a
Mikey.
pier or anything and we'll lose him.
Again.
Yeah, my connection's hit or miss right now. Yeah, I just came from seeing Matt James performing freaking up front, and it's been a great day.
Blacktop Mojo.
But,
what a vocalist!
It's been it's yeah, it's been wrapping up to be a really great year. I can tell you right now, when I wrote Walking the
One of the songs.
One of the
it's
songs.
very emotional for me because I
That
wrote
hasn't been released
one of the
yet.
songs that we're about to put out hadn't been released yet. The first time that I heard Liz sing it, I wrote that song for her. I didn't know it at the time, but it meant more to me when she sang that than any other time I heard it. And I really feel like for the first time ever in this band, we have all the right pieces. We have all the right people. We have the right amount of drive. And I really feel like we have a future, a great future. It's and go ahead, Mike. Like I said, that's my emotional stuff. That's all it is.
Yeah, so we've got some great
Unless
things.
you have any other questions. Yeah.
No, we're good. So we've got some great things going into 2024. We've got the Devil Effect coming out on the 9th. As we're gonna, go into that here in a minute, and then we've got a little mini tour run that we're gonna do just to kind of get our legs back underneath us. Because I'm all the way in India. I work over here, so to get the live show performance in tight, we're gonna go ahead and get that done. So we're gonna go out on a 4-day run with the Almas. We're excited about those guys. They're big time
just
friends of ours.
found out some of our friends are going to be joining you on 2 of those dates. Transient's going to be hitting the road with a couple days.
Yeah, so we're excited about that.
Great song, guys. Yeah.
Can't go into too many specifics, but we do have a few more songs we're going to release throughout the year, and then we've got a major tour that we've got planned in the summer, July time frame, with some national bands that we're really starting to become close to. So we're excited about that. But 2024 is looking like a great year so far.
Awesome. Well, we're getting ready to premiere the video for the Devil Effect. Tell us, Jared, you do it. I like it. You sound better when you do it.
I say we always say on the show, you can tell us everything or tell us nothing about the single, the song, or the video. So pick and choose whichever you like.
Can I take over this one, guys?
The Almas just commented, yeah, we are definitely excited to be hitting the road with them. Anyway, go
Hey,
on.
Almas. So when I first wrote The Devil Effect, I think selfishly it came from only what I was experiencing. But talking to Mike for the very first time when he picked me up at the airport, we got into like a deep conversation, and we were talking about family and exes, and then talking to Nolan and talking to Matt, I really got to learn the guys like quickly. So the song at first was a lot about my personal hardships that I dealt with recently, but by the second verse and by the third verse and everything, you can start to hear it transition more into like everything that we've been led to in order to become the band that we're in. And so with the lyrics, I mention a lot about like communicating with worlds unknown, because in 2022 my father passed, and that was ironically the year that I had to do so many tours and I had so many festivals with my previous band, and I never really got to heal from that, because to lose a parent, to move, to do all of the things that you're doing, you never get to take a moment and breathe. But by the second verse, you hear a lot about like families and being your army and your home. And it was a quite literal direct representation of like a lot of my bandmates, a lot of my management is they're veterans. And when you have a very team player mentality and like kind of, I don't even really know how to describe it. When I wrote that lyric, it was really important to me because I never was in a situation where I had veterans that had like a very team player mentality. And then by the middle to ending of it, you get to hear like a real fuck you homage to everyone that potentially screwed us over or did screw us over. It was kind of like, well, look at us now, fucking suck it. So that's kind of what the song is. It's a whole entire storyline of how much bullshit you have to go through, but then the end of it all was like kind of being reborn. And there's a lot of imagery within the music video that I really worked one-on-one with the bandmates and with Thomas with Kill Devil Films, where I wanted the representation of like biting the apple because like of original sin, but now I'm spitting it out. Or I was drowning in a bathtub, but now I'm submerging out of it and the water's black, but like my hair and makeup is flawless. You know what I mean? I had a lot of the bandmates wear like a lot of kind of like Assassin's Creed meets Army kind of type clothes. And I wanted that to like seem like they were like my army backing me. I really wanted to have a lot of imagery where if the followers or potential fans or just family and friends watch it, they're going to be able to pick up little bits and pieces of it. And it doesn't have to be a direct storyline. It could literally be anything where anyone can apply their hardships to, either watch the music video or hear the song and find something to it. So that is the devil effect. It's quite literally when you get screwed from the devil or anybody that is evil, the effect afterwards, if you like kind of push forward and move past it.
I like it. That's a tell us everything, folks. If you're taking notes,
Yeah.
put it out there for us.
And,
yeah, I love the fuck you attitude. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Fuck 'em.
And I can't tell you how happy
You
I
stand the
am.
line
You
with
guys,
fans.
you guys are letting us premiere this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to hit it right now. Here is Clozure, The Devil Effect. It's a world premiere on the sound. Well, fantastic.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very,
Good.
there's from being a fan of your previous band, your voice is very powerful.
Thank
And
you.
when you get really deep into that hook of that song and you hear the rasp start to come out, it really grabs your attention. It's awesome.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, for sure. That was a cool song. Great video. Did a great job on the video as well. I want to go back to something you mentioned earlier about the previous band and it not being very cohesive, and then getting in with these guys. Like, I've played music in a band with, I had the exact opposite experience where we loved music and we were more about like having a party and cooking and hanging out, and like if you had something to say, you didn't say it passive aggressively. You were just like, "Hey, asshole, this is what what about this? What about that?" Like, it's so crazy to me because I've seen other bands that didn't have that, and it sounded like maybe you didn't either at first. like I'd like to expand on like how it is now a little bit more than you already have, because to me, what a terrible thing to like say if you, and I know this has happened in a ton of bands, got massive success, but you're trapped in this fucking toxic environment. Like that would just be like the worst thing, to have your dream come true inside of a shit box, right?
Yeah.
Like but now that's not the case, you know?
Yeah. I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I mean, while I understand my accomplishments weren't crazy, to be able to say that I did those festivals and the views that I did get, and I think a lot of people kind of really started to like recognize me around like my local area. It started to feel that way. You know, obviously when the band first grouped, I don't think any of us had an intentions to like be passive aggressive or to be negative and whatnot. And now honestly I kind of make a joke of it. I couldn't give a shit if they hear it or not. But in the beginning of the relationship, because being in a band, it is kind of like having a relationship. You're either best friends, or you feel like if you have a female in the band, they somehow always become like the mom or the wife of the group in order like to like reel in the boys back. So it's one of those things. And the beginning of like the band and relationship, I'm sure it was fine. We also didn't know what the hell we were doing, while my post bandmates or my ex bandmates were in the music industry for a really long time. I really was new. Like I was 21, 22, and I was just trying it for the first time around. So in the ending time, like when my dad got really sick, I mean, before we even got our first big break and we played House of Blues, my father was in ICU. And, you know, there was a difference between that first time I played House of Blues, where they were like, hey, if you want to cancel, you can cancel. Like my dad was strapped to tubes and I didn't even know if my father was going to die or not. And I was 22 years old. I was petrified, you know, it was my father's, wake or funeral. And those same bandmates 3 years later are like, hey, are you going to be good for tour in a month? And that was it. Like, it really did shift. So looking back at it now, would I take back what it was? No, because I'll be honest with you, I don't know if I would have been able to deal with Malcolm Springer, our producer, because he was an intense personality, and dealing with my bandmates that I dealt with, I think it kind of made me tougher. And I would have had absolutely no experience, absolutely no stage presence. I wouldn't have had any kind of look. And now when I go by my name Nikolai, which is my legal name, but it's my last name, it means that much more, because after my father's passing, I feel like it's a way for me to make that name even more worthwhile, because I don't have my dad watching me anymore, but I feel like I can put value to that name. It sucks to think that there are bands that are like that, and I've even met some people that are like that. And I've seen people lose the love of art. And I think after my band breakup, I felt like I did lose it. Finding Clozure and talking to the bandmates and everything, like I genuinely am so beyond happy. Prior, I was a mid-20s, early 20s, really angsty little rock and roll bitch. Now I just feel like I'm a tough ass chick that can handle a lot and have a lot to say. But it's a very real thing. And I don't know how it happens. I don't know if people separate over time. I don't know if, one thing led to another, and it probably wasn't an overnight thing, but it happens more often than likely. And a lot of the times bands stick together not even for each other, but they stick together for the sake of either money, fame, or the fans. And I'll be honest with you, my fans were the only reason why I was loving music, because I wouldn't be excited to get on stage with my bandmates. I would be excited to get on stage, sing, and then immediately get off the stage so I can just meet the fans. Now it's like I'm excited to talk bullshit on group chat every day for 2 hours. I'm excited to brainstorm new music. I'm even more excited and happier than ever to meet the fans, because joining Clozure, I was petrified if they were even gonna like a female front. And people like Brian and Kendra and Pepper Gomez and Scott that just accepted me with opening arms. It's like, it's weird. My tour manager, which was my best friend that used to do merch for my old band, and now she's tour managing us. When we met Clozure the first time together, we literally had 2 days to get to know each other with my tour manager. We recorded in like 4 days. We recorded the music video in 1 day. And I remember my best friend Kat and my photographer, my other best friend, they were like, dude, this feels NPC as shit. Like none of this feels real, because they're too fucking nice. And that's when it dawned on me that, like, thank God, whatever situation's over and done with. Because even my loved ones, my family, my friends were taking bullshit because they loved me and they saw how happy it made me on stage. Now we're all just one big fucking happy, dumbass family. And I think even fans can kind of tell that. Like even my friend, like my friends and family now, when they see me at bars, or fans that see me from my old band, they're like, "Oh my God, you look better. Oh my God, you lost weight." Yeah, because I'm genuinely fucking happy now. So it's just.
I'm so
about
glad Rick said you could cuss.
Yeah, right. You can tell she's being way more real. If we'd have been
I'm being way more real and genuine.
Yeah.
The New Yorker comes out of me. I'm sorry.
What about geographically, y'all's location? You said you flew to the great state of Alabama to meet these fine, I'm assuming, Southern gentlemen here. Where are y'all all located like normally? We're in
my question.
Fuck off.
That was good, Matt. I like that. I'm sorry too, by the way. But yeah, where are y'all?
So I'm from Florida. And then I'll let the other guys, like, I'm from Florida. Matt's not here, so I'll speak for Matt. Matt and Mike Cordell, they're from Alabama. And then I'll let the other two speak for themselves.
I'm also in Alabama, or at least my family is, but I work overseas in India. So I am over here.
When you said India earlier, I was like, did he leave off the Indiana, like Indiana, or does he mean really the country India?
Yeah, I don't know if you could see that paint, but you don't get that in the U.S., my friend.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No one has an orange room unless they're in a mental hospital.
Yeah, that's prime real estate India right there, my friend.
That's awesome. That's really cool. And then what about you, Zach? Where are you?
It's really not.
So I'm from Kentucky. Funny enough, actually, our lead guitar player, Mike Cordell, he is also a Kentucky guy. And I met them playing a show in Owensboro around here. I'm just kind of linked in. It's been a great time ever since, though.
Bourbon guys or what? In the great state of Kentucky.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Me and Mike. Yeah.
All right, good deal. Okay, so how do you? I love asking this question. Like, how do you write? Is it digital? Is it record something, send it in a group chat? Like, is that how y'all do it?
I'm gonna be honest with you, slightly digital. With I will say we have 4 singles pre-recorded, so that much I can say. With those 4 singles, it was mostly digital for Mike because he's in India and he really can't practice. But I flew to and from Alabama about 2 or 3 times because as much as they send over tracks, because I'm the singer, I'm kind of like the last person to always add to things. I don't play a damn instrument with these nails at all. So a lot of the time they kind of have to give me like an idea, and then I let them know if I can write to it or not. But it's partially digital, and then I'm going to be honest with you, a majority of the lyrics and the emotion and sometimes the fine tuning always happens when we're in the same room. And I think it's because we're very emotionally driven as a band. So we can get a lot of work done on the computer, but when I'm telling you, we were rewriting things and kind of configuring what we wanted for the devil effect and so on and so forth. We were doing that within 2 days, the day before we go recording.
That was chaos in that studio. I loved every minute of it. But man, we went in there drama bonded.
Yeah, Malcolm Springer, phenomenal producer, and I couldn't recommend that guy any harder. You need to have some fucking chutzpah to deal with that dude because he is intense. But we were at one point, there was one of our songs, I won't say which one, but there was a song that we almost completely rewrote. Lyrics didn't change, but certain ways that I sang it changed, and instrumentalization changed completely. But I think because we have so much time separate from each other, we write a lot, we come up with the core concept, and then when we're actually in the room, that's when we really start piecing everything together and finalizing it.
Fuck that. Malcolm Springer is the most intense dude I've ever worked with in my entire fucking life. And I've been to war, bro. I've been to Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm not kidding.
Hey, that's what you need though, right? You got to have a little friction in there to make some good shit.
Listen, this guy, he pulled the absolute best out of us. I could see him eating bands for lunch though. I'm talking day one, they just split up.
I'm
He
gonna
was
be honest with
amazing.
you.
He pulled the best out of us. What's up?
Me and Malcolm Springer hit it off really well. I mean,
He was nice to you, damn it.
Yeah, we were getting
Yeah,
coffee together. He called me.
You
his
didn't have to
rock
change
star.
shit.
Listen,
Yeah.
you
What did
had
you-
your nice
you didn't
little
have to
vocal booth while we were all upstairs in the fucking Thunderdome.
Getting yelled at
Yeah.
and turn the air
Bro.
conditioner off. I'm gonna make these bastards work. Let's go. Yeah.
That's exactly what happened. I mean, he would say stuff like, "Okay, now let's play that again and not suck."
Right.
And I'm
Right.
just
Oh, I
like,
like this
Right.
guy. Hey, that was
I
perfect.
flew all the way from India for this
Without
shit.
being
Like, are you
shitty.
kidding me?
It sounds like it was the case you went in there and he was like, Nicola, come here, have some tea and, you know, sit back, put your feet up, but like go and whip these boys into shape.
When I'm
Pretty
Nailed
telling
it.
you,
Nailed
when
it.
I'm telling you about, like, I want to say 60% of our stuff was rewritten. 30% was my lyrics, and my lyrics were never touched. The other 60% was just it was the weirdest thing ever. I think he only changed like one song of mine, and all he was like, yeah, just cut off that one piece and cut out that piece. You're doing fine, sweetie. I mean, there were times where he would yell at them, and then he would come downstairs, and my tour manager would be making me tea, and then she'd be like, hello, Mr. Springer, do you want a tea too? And he's like, I would love some. Extra honey for me,
First of all,
please.
get the
I
accent
like it
right
sweet.
because he talks like a pro wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
He didn't say I
To
would
me-
love some. He said I would love some.
No, to me,
Yeah.
he was so sweet and kind. I mean, we used to like ride in the car rides, and we would talk about his children and my cats. Like,
Hey, fellas,
I
I'm
got
picking up
different
what y'all are
versions.
putting down. I see the discrepancy here and how y'all were
Bruh.
treated. So it's
Yeah,
pretty loud
I'm
and
picking up some sexism here.
Wait a minute.
So-
There was no
It was not
passive
a game.
aggressiveness from this gentleman. He treated you like a lady with respect.
Oh,
Correct.
Absolutely. I
Right.
swear to
yeah, well, he
God.
gave the boys the good old 1-2. He gave us a 2-piece and told us to go to KFC.
Hey,
Yeah,
look, as long as the product, it improved the song and made it better, then
100%.
that's you can't get to the
best
big
out of
leagues,
us.
baby, without getting punched in the mouth a little bit. So
Bro, you are not
Right.
lying there.
I will say
Definitely.
one thing. Springer has an interesting way of recording. Because normally what we would do is you kind of like send in a demo to like whatever producer recording person that you're working with at the time. And then a lot of the times individually, each and every artist would record their parts one by one. Springer had this very interesting concept, and I think you could tell that we were an emotional, driven band. And he isn't like, he might be intense, but he definitely does listen. He might talk a lot, he might talk very intensely, but he hears everything you say. And our first day in the recording studio, he made us run through every song like one full take. And I remember he like sat down with me, totally chill, and was like, hey, I need you to drink your tea. I need you to take your Ricola. I need you to sing these lyrics as if you're singing in the studio for real. This is not a demo for you. Odds are I'm going to use your vocals that you're doing on this take. And that was absolutely petrifying for me personally, because I literally flew into Alabama, drove to Tennessee. I was not sleeping much. As a vocalist, you need that rest because your body is the instrument. And I was petrified because I was like, oh my God, just the 2 days prior, I was singing for 8 hours in a row, and now I have to sing. And I want to say at least like 65-70% of the music that you're hearing from The Devil Effect and from even the other tracks, maybe at least 50%, were all from the first original takes from that demo. And I think he himself
hold on.
realized.
I'm glad you got that warning because we got okie doke. They didn't tell us that shit. Didn't warn us, nothing. It was,
Man,
hey fellas, let's go.
Your boy over here was the one take wonder that whole week.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, boys, you don't need to know what we use and what we don't use. You just keep playing and shut up.
Yeah,
That's
honestly.
exactly.
But when I'm telling you, when you hear The Devil Effect and you hear that raspiness, my voice isn't always typically that raspy. I think because I had a lot of anger, and there's a difference between singing your music in a black recording booth and not seeing a single bandmate, and then singing with your bandmates and you can see them across the like hallway room, because I had a glass window and they had a glass window. I mean, I was pulling from a lot of anger, and you can almost hear that grit. And I think it was.
Were y'all live tracking what you just described, or was this still individual parts?
It was all live track.
Live
I
track.
mean, the guitarists and the bassists were pretty much plugged in. We were recording drums live, and it was my vocal in like a different room, but I could still see them through the windows. And I feel like you can almost feel that anger. Like there's a lot of parts where you hear my voice crack, and Malcolm would refuse to auto-tune it. He's like, absolutely not. I can tell that you're pissed, and that's why we're keeping it.
We were talking about that.
There was a lot of anger.
We were
There
talking about
was
that
a lot of anger.
About how everything gets a little too clean, a little too produced, a little too you don't allow those little tiny imperfections, air quotes, come through to make you sound unique, and I get where he's coming from with that. Like, if we're not auto-tuning a crack that fits like that, for sure.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was a really interesting experience. That was probably the only time that I feel like Malcolm was even slightly mean to me, and even then he was nice about it.
And that would have been a little bit of a pre-production thing. Is that kind of how you were describing that? That was like the first run of everything together with everybody?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
So we had 2 days of pre-production, quote unquote,
Right.
where, obviously Malcolm knows how to write good music and make good music.
So we went into a garage of an Airbnb, and he just beat the shit out of us for 2 days, and then brought
Well,
us
not
to the
me.
studio.
With me, he liked me.
She was drinking
was-
tea.
I was taking his
Again.
tablet and writing like love notes, like Malcolm Springer loves Nikolai and like flowers, and then I'd give him his tablet back, and he'd look at it and go, anyways, boys.
Yeah, that's why y'all didn't get
So-
the treatment. We had Matt join us here, man. How are you doing this evening?
I'm great, brother. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Let's hear from our Matt and our Lisa. I think I flipped my screen around, so it ain't working good. Why don't y'all throw some haymakers out there for us?
Yeah, because I like asking the difficult questions. So first things first, Mike. I love the shirt.
Yeah, that's our
Love it.
boys. Love
Good
the
friends.
hate, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good
yeah.
friends of the station.
Love those
Yeah.
guys. Yeah.
And Nikolai, it sounds like you have discovered a newfound love for the music, and your passion seems to be back. It seems like from the sound of it in your previous project, because there was all that, passive aggressiveness, you sort of like lost your passion and drive a little bit. And it feels like what you're saying now is like you've got it back. And I love hearing that, because when you've got that passion and drive, and you've got that love for the music, you can put out the best product you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, think about it. I met these guys in September. November, Zach joined the group. December, I was posted publicly that I was in the band. In November, we recorded our single. And then, January, we were finalizing things. February, you're hearing the first song. And I think the only reason that's even possible, I mean, think about this. We're all in different states. A majority of us are split apart. And, there's bands that take months to write 4 songs, let alone find their singer, then find a bassist, then write 4 songs, then hone down a videographer, a producer, find an Airbnb, record all the 4 songs, record the music video, and then get into and I don't know if a lot of listeners know, but there's a lot of behind the scenes work when it comes to just ads and trying to get magazines to want to, do an interview on you, or even finding, a lot of radio stations and podcasts that are willing to kind of shine a spotlight and show the new work that you have to show. I mean, the only way I think that was possible was because not only did I find a whole new inspiration, but I think all of us in general did. And that's why I talk a lot in this interview, because I'm just so beyond excited.
I like it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I love it. And Mike, you said at the start of the interview, you sort of changed direction a little bit when you brought Nikolai on. Do you think you found your sound now? And this goes out to everyone. With the products you've got with this lineup, with the singles coming out, and where you see it going. Now, this isn't, I can ask you, where do you want to be in five years' time? And you can say Grammy Award winning multi-platinum album selling nights. Where do you realistically see Clozure being in 5 years' time?
So yeah, we've completely 180. We've had some moderate success before. As far as what we've been able to do in the past, Nikolai's got her resume, but I think because it is such a drastic, just not with switching to a female front, but again, our stage show now is going to be incredible. Zach is a monster on stage. Matt is a monster on stage. Nikolai, I mean, the live show is what I think is going to really speak, instead of just the recording stuff. But as far as our goals, I'm sorry?
Nikolai has that rare thing going on too. Not a lot of people do it, but her live performances just fucking smoke all of her studio stuff. It's rare. You don't see it often.
I think sometimes in studio, you're like nervous about being too perfect. With live performances, I like to like show off that I can belt a little bit higher or like do a couple more riffs and runs. Obviously not too much. I'm not going to Christina Aguilera that shit, but like, you know, I do like to do that sometimes. But I think that's another reason why I love music so much is because I never wanted to be that auto-tune artist. And so finding Malcolm Springer where he's like, we're not cutting that. I'm like, thank fucking God. I'm literally talking about being angry in this lyric. Why would we take that vocal crack or why would we take that like nuance? But back to the question of where do we want to be in 5 years?
Yeah, so I think the real push for us this year is we would like to get signed this year. We've had some great people reaching out to us, but we just haven't found that right fit as far as the label. So that's really the next immediate goal, is to get us out of our day jobs to really just be able to perform because of how close we are now. Our writing is so fast that we need to be together. We need to be in the same room. We need to be, able to write and go on. So I think that's our next goal. We've got a great tour coming up, but really as far as 5 years from now, if I'm still beating around on the drums and I'm with my family playing music, I don't care, honestly, where the next 5 years takes us, as long as that's where we're at. However far that goes, sure, let's take it as far as the wheels go off, for sure. I want to ride this thing until it stops. But just being able to play in the same group with these guys and girls, like that's all I care about now, to be honest with you. Once we get signed, we'll let the label go and see where they want to take this sucker. But I feel like if you have that passion and the love for music, there is no boundaries for you. There really isn't. It's, we talked about Love to Hate. Love to Hate is very similar to that. Those guys are so great live because you can truly tell, like with J-Rod and all those guys now, like they just truly love being on stage with each other. And that's something you can't fake. You can't mimic that. And that's where we're going to be at now. And so however far we go, I don't care. I love to ride it till the wheels go off, but only time is going to tell.
Selfishly, I just want to have Slash and Gene Simmons' number personally on my phone. That would be really fucking dope. And I want like a makeup company to be like, hey, you should model our makeup. And I have like a line. Oh, and then I wanna a Reddit page of how I like potentially sold my soul to the devil or how I'm fake. Or like if I can get like a conspiracy theory like Avril Lavigne where like I died and was replaced, that would be really dope too. Those are my three goals.
Put little Easter eggs in your videos every time y'all do one where it's like just kind of drop clues to one of those theories.
Yeah, look, we can start that now. Like Nikolai isn't really here, she's a bot.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start drawing my freckle and then like inching it like a different part of my face for every album.
Yeah.
And so like maybe I don't know. I think that'd be really dope. I would love to have a conspiracy theory in 5 years about me.
Yeah.
That's just I don't know why.
Paul McCartney, Paul McCartney, they said he died a long time ago as well. So
yeah, I am the walrus. That's a very real thing. I believe it sometimes.
I'm not mad at that. I think that's my favorite goal out of all the ones y'all listed. So I'm into that one.
That's the favorite goal I've ever heard from a band.
Honestly, I just want to get big enough to have a fucking internet conspiracy.
Honestly, if I make like a decent amount, right? Like and nothing like crazy, like just a decent amount, but I can go and type in Nikolai conspiracy, right? Dopest thing ever. But I want like thousands of people to be on it. Like I genuinely want like a whole entire subculture of like how something's not real.
Do you want to see people putting like pictures of you from like live to like social media together?
Oh my God, absolutely.
Making points that even you're like, holy shit, that makes a lot of sense. And I know it's not true, but I'm almost
fucking reptile.
Yeah, maybe I don't even know and it's true.
Oh yeah,
just like really bad photoshops. Hashtag that shit right now.
Dude, I'm fully. Think about it. Clozure. If we get signed,
2
the
weeks,
devil effect,
2 hours,
right there, like automatically, Illuminati confirmed. And I'm pretty sure in one of my like lyric tracks that I like was just promoting the band song. I do this with my hand.
One time,
so like,
it's all you got to do.
Give me a conspiracy theory, and then also Gene Simmons and Slash's phone number personal, where I can like
I
hit
just
them
want
up.
somebody to call me overrated. Like that's it.
Yeah, just call me overrated, dude. I'm cool with that.
I want like whenever my name gets mentioned, I just want people to be like, I can't stand that overrated motherfucker. Like
Right.
that's the goal right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all have the right perspective. I can tell you because that's correct. Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great.
Bring it back in, Kevin. Bring it
That's
back
one of the best things I've heard on this show in a while.
in. Yeah.
You're
It is.
welcome.
It literally is a
Conspiracy
pin drop.
Yeah.
I have one last question, and it's something that Mike touched upon. Now, a lot of these bands and a lot of these artists, the sound supports, and they're all independent, and independent is a big thing in a minute because everyone's giving a big FU to labels, basically. Now, I know why you want to sign. Let's tell the people why you would want to sign with a label rather than staying as independent.
So for
I
me,
mean-
signing. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt this. Elizabeth Nikolai, excuse me. The reason why I think is because the label is going to help you initially, especially when you're newer. And we can talk about our past history, but the Clozure that we have right now is brand new. So in order to get that out, the label will really help you kind of broaden your horizon with your fan base and really kind of help take that, to the next level, if that's what you want to call it. That's what
Yeah.
labels are designed to do. I mean, they're trying to make money, so they're going to put your name out there and try to make money off of it. That's fine. Let them make money off of us for a few years. Let's grow and see where it goes after that. But for anybody, I understand the caveats and the kicks about labels. 100% understand that. But there's a reason why Seven Dust is signed to a label with 1 million followers. There's a reason why Evanescence is signed to a label. Those folks help push your music out to people that will never hear you if it weren't for them. So
Yeah. And obviously coming from like the state and day that we are now, where like TikTok can make you go viral and everything, it's not always proven that like TikTok makes the best music go viral, and I mean, labels for the most part are almost like a glorified loan, but in order to create a really good product, and the music video that we created, the studio that we recorded at, and then obviously every other dream and aspiration that we have, even if it's just a glorified loan, I think we all believe in our work enough that we can take that loan and make something of it. And then the label can make something of it. And it'll be just a kind of, there's a word for it, where like two people like get something out of the deal.
Symbiotic.
Whenever I think of that, I think of the shark that has the fish that like swims next to it.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know why. But I feel like it could be like a symbiotic kind of relationship. And that's kind of why we want to go for that, because with the way we record, with how much we are very big in like imagery and music videos, and we're really into like going on tours, and we're not like a radio online band that only just uploads TikToks. I mean, mind you, I'm doing it. I'm literally doing TikToks of me singing my fucking song in the middle of the woods with the camera going in and out of my face. I mean, I'm doing it. But we're more so of a touring act, of a very heavy artistic core, with the music videos, the imagery, the merch and all that. And that's kind of what we hope to be, constantly in people's faces, constantly doing live shows, constantly in the studio recording and making art.
Right. And it's a label opens doors for you, because a lot of this industry is not what you know to
Who you know. 100%.
Those big labels can get you the European, Australian, UK tours. They can, put money behind you, because a lot of these up and coming bands, they struggle with having the finances to fund like radio campaigns and, going on tour essentially and stuff like that. Whereas these labels can fund that. And like you say, it's that little loan, so to speak, that can help you grow.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I will say, like, and I do want to say this just because I think that there's respect owed to a lot of the listeners nowadays, and I'm sure you guys can understand that, like, having your own like radio show and everything. A lot of people are starting to wake up, and with like the help of internet, you're able to find radio shows where the people actually give a shit about the music. You're able to find bands that, aren't over processed and auto-tuned and slammed to a grid, but that label or whatever production company or whoever, they can help. So while I'm so beyond grateful for like specifically the Clozure fans, because I have fans of my own that have, you know, kind of been courted into like the new band, but like while I'm extremely grateful for like the Clozure fans, because we do have a really good fan base where, you know, I'm seeing the comments and I am reading them as like we speak, where they're extremely supportive. Those fans not only could use the help too, where like just imagine now if a label does pick us up and now we get to bump into more fans like that that maybe weren't able to ever meet Mike or Zach in person or me in person. Now they can meet us on the internet, and then those fans can see us at like, you know, live or concert. It only gets bigger and better, and that's even more shows, and that's even more music, and now we're able to be 100% of what we need to be. So I think the fans are in a better position now where they can demand more from the labels by showing that support and by showing smaller artists. But like now the labels can actually see and like actually start promoting like realer big bands. Because for a while it was just a lot of TikTok and like YouTube artists that were just covering other music and they were trying to create the next rock star. Well, now we're in a weird position where a lot of the followers and fans are taking back control, and labels are looking to sign more acts now because, you know, fans have a bigger voice than ever, and labels are now trying to figure out how to seem more human and more realistic than ever, from what I've noticed.
Lisa, what's your take on that? I saw you kind of wanting to jump in there a little bit.
You know what? No comment.
No comment. No comment on the
No,
label.
I categorically disagree.
Really?
I think that a label, while it opens doors for many artists, I think that the work starts individually with the artist and promoting themselves. It might open up the reach in terms of more fans and internationally, of course. I think that I see a lot of artists that are signed to labels and they're not promoting them more than the band is. They say, oh, new artist announcement. There it is. Great. And then you don't see anything really further. It has to start with the band. And that's about their own social media and their own content. You know, so I don't.
I kind of asked you that to speak to that just because I kind of felt like you were on the same wavelength that I was. I don't think anything that you were saying about wanting to get signed or anything is wrong at all for the reasons that you right, like for the reasons that you mentioned. Obviously, an injection of money, exposure, connections, tours, connect, like that it makes a ton of sense. But like you said, it's could be considered a glorified loan, and inside of that loan, they're going to want a lot of shit because they're taking all the risk when it comes to handing out the money, right?
And they own your likeness. They own everything.
Correct. And then nowadays, there's a great interview out there from Jelly Roll of all people about artists that don't even own their name. Like you wouldn't even potentially could, if you know, you don't have to sign anything, but like wouldn't even own Clozure. You wouldn't even own them to be able to say that name without them giving you permission. And there are large artists out there that have signed deals like that. It's not a terrible thing, but I think what Lisa's trying to say and what I was thinking as well is like where your guys' positions at right now, you've already met each other, you've recorded a song, you've put out a killer video, and you're building that fan base now. So build, and get to a point where you have so much leverage that if they do approach you with something, the deal will always be 60-40 in your favor and never get screwed because you've already proved to them the risk is mitigated because you have the socials that are real, not bought, right? With X number of followers, X number of downloads. It's like, look, asshole, I don't have to prove it to you. I'm already booking out clubs that do this, do that. You want to get me to the next level? Yeah, we'll go in it together, but you're not going to prey on me is where we're at with that.
So to clarify, I think when McCann gave that answer, and I know that this is where I come from in the bandmate Nikolai, speaking only for Nikolai, when we were talking about wanting to get signed, it's not that we wanted to get signed and we thought that was it. It was wanting to get signed because we have so much product. It's just sometimes in order to record all that product, when you're paying bills, when you have personal lives and everything, that glorified loan, and that's why ironically I did say glorified loan, that does make it a little bit easier. But I go back to what I said prior as to our fans are more important than ever now, because with them liking our content, with them, giving us the support and everything. And that's why I wanted to shout out Clozure fans and my fans from my previous band. They do have a lot of draw and pull. And I would be an absolute bullshitter if I wasn't going to agree with Elisa with the fact that you need to be able to have a build up and kind of make a name for yourself. But we're going to do that inevitably. I mean, just because we got signed to a record label, if we did get signed to a record label, there would be no reasoning that we wouldn't do it. If not, do it 10 times more, because anyone that has a job or a side job, well, we're quitting that shit. And now that's all we have to focus on. So it wasn't necessarily a kind of like a easy way out, because I've heard, I mean, I have friends that have signed to labels and they regret it. It was more so when we find a label that we agree with,
Right.
you know, the terms
it's
and
all
conditions.
on the label. It's
Yeah.
all on
I
the
think
label. There are
it comes
shit
down
labels
to
out
the
there.
point. I think it comes down to the point where it does open doors, and it does, you know, and this is the
Yeah.
point I was trying to get at with asking the question, because it's why I don't ask many questions. So I ask the questions that open a can of worms. So
No,
it's
perfect.
more when like bands are signing, not Clozure per se, but when bands are signing with a label, you have to find the best deal that benefits the band, not the label.
Yes.
Right.
And
Right.
another thing is everybody has such a different, what's it called, storyline. I mean, like, Flyleaf is one of my favorite bands ever, but then I also love System of a Down. That's completely like opposite. And I mean, I can't even think right now, but I have so many different bands that I listen to that are either signed or not signed. And while this interview, we say that we want to have a label, who's to say that like our next 4 singles aren't so phenomenal and we've done such a good job either cross promoting ourselves that we just decide to go, you know, and do the jelly roll kind of way of just staying like independent. At the moment, in this day, like on February 7th, is that the date? Oh my God, I can't even think straight.
Yeah.
On
Yeah.
February 7th, that's kind of what we're going for. But like, I don't know if our, you know, idea is going to change. I mean, there's 5 members. There's a manager. There's my best friend who tour manages us, and my best friend, like Byron, that does photography for us. There's a lot of people that have our hands in our pot. When we think about it, we're just trying to figure out what's the best way for us, the easiest way to get our music out there, not meaning that it's going to be easy in general, because being in that bathtub that had 30-degree water, going in and out of it 5-6 times for the perfect roll, none of that was easy. Dealing with Malcolm Springer, none of that was easy. But to find support to make it a little bit more easier to make content more consistently, because now in this day and age, you do have to have music that comes out quite consistently. If we can find a way to do that, whether that be a label or not, we're going to go for it, because we want our fans to hear as much of us as possible. And I mean, we have at least 20 or 30 songs, like literally. And I mean, I'm pretty sure Matt right now, wherever Matt is, I can't point to him. Matt right now has at least 100 songs in a book that's like ready to freaking record. So that's kind of our standpoint.
Yeah, I get it. And it wasn't to poke any like at all towards y'all. We have the audience here, and we know, we hope we have the audience member that might just be wanting to start a band, or just did start a band, or has never played the live show yet. So we like to speak to them as well while we're asking these questions live. You know, to kind of broaden their knowledge of the industry, or whatever, you know, you want to call it. So that's why we dig deeper into these things.
We touched on some of these mainstream bands, and we touched on, like you said, there's finding these radio stations that actually give a shit about, you know, like you're essentially a new band because of the new lineup and the new sound and stuff like that. Like that's why we do the sound. And I'm pretty sure the other 3, Lisa, Kevin, and Jared, would agree with me on this, is the up and coming scene and the music that's coming out in the up and coming scene is better than mainstream, hands down.
Yeah.
I agree.
No, it's true.
Speaking of, both of those bands in that grudge match, holy shit. But anyway, go on.
Yeah.
Those guys.
Varsity is sick. Varsity's drummer reminds me of From Ashes to New Drummer, just their playing style. Like, my God, that dude's talent is insane.
Chris
Varsity's
Cody.
no joke.
Yeah.
Both
Varsity
of those
is not a
bands,
game.
holy hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Yeah, we
and,
agree.
and that's why we do what we do, and we have guys like you on, and we, you know, having the grudge match likes of Varsity, Devour the Day. We're trying to show love and support for this music that people aren't aware of, or they're not acknowledging. You know, it needs to happen.
Yeah.
Well, and we appreciate that. You know, it is, you can write the best song in the world, and unless somebody wants to give us like this kind of opportunity and the other things that we're doing, like unless you were given those opportunities, nobody's gonna know. I mean, there's just, that's not gonna
Well, I
happen.
mean, right
in
now,
this
the
world.
greatest song ever written is being performed in front of a bar or in a bar in front of like 3 people.
Yeah, well,
That's just the way
they all start out that way typically. Now it's a little
Yeah.
different, like you say, because of social media, TikTok, and what have you. But you're right. What is the guy who wrote Richmond, North of Richmond, that just blew up on TikTok? There was literally videos of him playing at this bar in his area in front of about 6 people who were ignoring him.
Yep.
That popped off, and then the next week, it's like he's playing with I forget,
playing
it was
for
like
20K.
400 people there at a bar that can hold 200.
Wait, are you talking about the guy that won The Voice who lives in my town?
No, I'm talking about the redheaded guy. and
Oliver
he had-
Anthony.
Oliver Anthony had Jamie.
Yeah.
Was it Jamie Johnson that showed up to his next show and
The
played
one that
with him?
played with
Yeah, Jamie Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, that's the power of social media and the internet. It's kind of what we were touching on earlier. I mean, so, but anyway, I think that was a great interview tonight, man. I'm excited. I love the track. I love the video. That
Love
sometimes
the
you get one and not the other, and it looks like y'all got both. So that's great too.
Thank you.
Kevin, are you still with us?
No, I was looking at the comments. I like that one right there too.
Yeah,
Free band
love
tour
the
with
hate.
Clozure. They're almost in the lines of loyalty.
Oh,
There you go.
Scott, you selfish man.
Scott, yeah, I think Scott.
I have so much
I'm
love
pretty
for Scott
down for that
Adams.
run.
He's such an
We love
advocate.
Scott.
He's such an advocate for up and coming bands. I'm not surprised at what he said, dude. I love you so much. I hope one day we actually get to meet.
So
what a
fun
great
story
guy.
with Scott. We went to Summerfest. We were playing with Nonpoint, September morning. Anyway, we were up there. We show up in our little tour van and we get out and Scott is there. No shit. Got eggs, bacon, sausage on the grill, cooking for us. Like as we pull in, cooks us dinner. They made us fajitas that night. The very next morning it was back to like pancakes and hash. We're like, Scott is the dude. That is the
Did
man.
you stay at
Yeah,
his
he's a
house?
legend.
What's that?
Did you stay at his house?
No, not yet. We were all out at the campgrounds, and so
Him and
his wife.
Him and his wife are the best band hosts that I've ever heard of.
And fantastic.
Yeah,
we actually
Yeah.
got to meet them through Blacktop Mojo.
no surprise.
Yeah,
He's a great
We
dude.
love
So
you,
if
Scott.
Scott's just a great dude. If anyone's looking to find you, where can they do so?
You could honestly just go on officialclosure.com or just type in official Clozure on any platform. I mean, we're official Clozure on Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, YouTube. It's official Clozure, but Clozure with a Z.
With a Z. There you
With
go.
the
The Z.
And she said X too. So we asked that question earlier. So that was cool. You said X.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just get bored and I like go on every freaking platform possible and just get the official Clozure. I mean, you might find us on Pornhub. There's just no videos uploaded.
There you go.
You know what?
That's
I'm gonna go look.
I'm joking.
Are you sure about that?
The funny thing was, I told the last interview, me and Zach were doing like an interview like a week ago. And I said, like, I even got the official Clozure OnlyFans, except it's only going to be Zach on there. So there might be some fans that are pissed off.
There you go.
We'll upload a post. We'll be
Or
like,
not. You don't ever know.
You never know.
What's
Zach is
official
pretty
Clozure?
freaking
I'll sign up
luscious.
now.
I'm like a young Greggy about this shit, man. There's some cougars out there, and I'm about that life.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Once
but we're
that
just-
Southern Kentucky boy, Yeah.
We're just we're official Clozure on everywhere. But if it's easier, you can just go on officialclozure.com and literally all of our links are there. I'm pretty sure you could pre-save the song. And then you could just click any of those like little tiny buttons and find us on all the other platforms.
Speaking of pre-saving a song, all day tomorrow, you
Yes.
can hear the double effect on the Sound 228. Do we have a graphic? There we go.
Nailed it.
Hell
That's
yeah.
the wrong one.
Yeah.
It is the wrong.
It should
Oh,
say
because-
28.
Well, I just went into our messages and found the one that popped up.
It was
So-
close enough.
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
close
It's-
enough. Pretend that.
So yeah, tomorrow. It's
That's
actually
okay.
from midnight tonight,
Yeah.
Central Time.
Playing all
So
day.
That's awesome.
download the app.
It drops on February 9th.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you
Hopefully,
for
we
having
get to
us.
see you on tour in our various areas very soon.
Yes,
Y'all
ma'am.
have a
Thank
great
you.
night.
Have a good night.
Thanks
Have a
for
good night,
having us,
guys.
y'all.
Thank you.